The rain beat against the windows of Michael Reed's Seattle apartment, a steady drum roll that matched the pounding in his chest. It was 10:15 p.m. on a dreary Thursday, and the 47-year-old financial analyst sat at his kitchen counter, staring at his phone. A single text from his wife, Emily, lit up the screen. "I'm not coming back. I've met someone better. Your stuff's in storage." Attached was a screenshot of a bank transfer, $150,000 drained from their joint savings to her personal account. Michael's jaw tightened. 12 years of marriage, gone in 2 sentences and a screenshot. He sipped his coffee, now cold, and scrolled through his banking app. 3 alerts from his private accounts, ones Emily didn't know about, flagged unauthorized login attempts. She was thorough, he'd give her that. As a forensic accountant, spotting discrepancies was Michael's livelihood. He'd seen the signs for months: Emily's extended weekend retreats, her new designer workout gear she never wore at home, the way her phone calls stopped when he entered the room. He'd stayed silent, hoping he was wrong. Now he knew better. He typed 2 words in reply: "Good luck." Then he dialed his sister, Kate, a cybersecurity expert who'd always had his back. "Remember that emergency plan we made 3 years ago?" Michael said as she picked up. "It's time." "You sure?" Kate's voice was steady but cautious. "She made her move," he replied. "Now it's mine." Michael opened his laptop, logging into a secure financial system he'd built for his practice but adapted for personal use. His fingers moved with precision, pulling up their joint accounts. Emily had been careful but not careful enough. The $150,000 transfer was just the start. She tried accessing his private investments, too. Michael smirked. She had no idea what she was up against. He thought back to how it all began. They'd met 12 years ago at a University of Washington charity gala. Michael, 35 and fresh off a failed first marriage, was rebuilding his career. Emily, 31, was a vibrant interior designer with big dreams and bigger charm. She'd laughed off his attempts to explain his work, saying, "I don't need the details, Mike. Just keep the money coming." He'd found it endearing then. Now, it felt like a warning he'd ignored. Michael had funded her design studio, paid for their upscale Bellevue home, and nodded along to her requests for luxury cars and tropical vacations. His sister, Kate, had seen through Emily's facade years ago. "She's spending your money like it's hers," Kate had said over beers one night. "Make sure she values you." Michael had brushed it off, but her words stuck. 3 years ago, he'd quietly restructured his finances, trusts, crypto wallets, offshore accounts, all hidden from Emily. Just in case. Now, just in case had arrived. Michael activated his emergency protocol. With a few clicks, he froze their joint accounts and flagged the $150,000 transfer as fraud, leveraging his banking contacts to expedite the process. He emailed his lawyer, Sarah, with instructions to file for divorce and a fraud claim. Then he called Kate again. "I need you to dig into someone," he said. "Kyle West. Fitness influencer. Emily's new guy." "On it," Kate replied. "What's the angle?" "Find out how deep they're in," Michael said. "I'm betting it's more than just an affair." The next morning, Michael woke early, brewed coffee, and drove to the storage unit Emily had mentioned. Using her texted code, he retrieved 2 boxes of clothes and his work laptop. But his grandfather's watch, old family photos, and a leather journal from his dad were missing. His chest tightened, not from the money, but from the loss of things that couldn't be replaced. Back at a coffee shop, Michael opened his laptop and accessed restricted financial databases. Kyle West's name popped up quickly. Harmon Fitness LLC, Kyle's gym, was drowning in debt, $200,000 in loans, unpaid rent, and a leased sports car. Worse, Emily had co-signed a loan for gym equipment 2 months ago, using their marital assets as collateral. Without his knowledge. Michael leaned back, his coffee untouched. Emily hadn't just left him, she'd bet their marriage on a sinking ship. But Michael wasn't the type to sink with it. He called Kate. "Found anything?" "Oh yeah," she said, her voice sharp. "Kyle's gym is a house of cards. And Emily's signature is all over his loans. She's in deep, Mike." "Good," Michael said, a cold edge to his voice. "Let's make sure they feel the weight of it." Michael Reed sat in a dimly lit Seattle coffee shop, the hum of the espresso machine blending with the rain outside. His laptop screen glowed with financial records, but his mind drifted to the past, piecing together the cracks in his 12-year marriage to Emily. He'd seen the signs: her late-night phone calls, her growing obsession with fitness influencers, the way she'd dismiss his work as boring numbers. But he'd chosen silence, hoping love would outweigh doubt. Now, with $150,000 gone and her betrayal laid bare, those ignored warnings haunted him. 12 years ago, Emily's energy had captivated him. She was 31, a rising interior designer with a laugh that could light up a room. Michael, 35 and rebuilding after a short, failed marriage, saw her as a fresh start. She'd breezed past his attempts to explain his forensic accounting work, saying, "Just make sure we live well, Mike." He'd smiled, charmed by her confidence. Within a year, they were married. He poured his savings into her design studio, a sleek space in downtown Seattle that became her pride and joy. When she wanted a house in upscale Bellevue, he signed the papers. When she craved luxury cars or trips to Bali, he nodded, checkbook in hand. His sister, Kate, had seen through it early. 3 years into the marriage, over beers at a dive bar, she'd leaned in. "Mike, Emily's spending like it's her money, not yours. Does she even get what you do to earn it?" He'd laughed it off, but her words stuck. That night, he started protecting his assets. He set up trusts, moved funds into crypto, and opened offshore accounts for his international clients. Emily knew only about their joint checking and savings, nothing more. Over time, Emily's world shifted. Her Instagram filled with yoga retreats and fitness influencers, her follower count climbing into the thousands. She started taking wellness trips with her new crowd, weekends that stretched into weeks. "You wouldn't like it," she'd say, waving him off. "It's all juice cleanses and meditation." Last Christmas, she forgot his birthday. When he mentioned it, she bought him a $2,000 watch, saying, "I've been so busy with the studio." He accepted it, but that night he finalized his emergency financial plan with Kate. The signs were there. He just hadn't wanted to see them. Now, back in the coffee shop, Michael's phone buzzed. A text from Kate. "Found something on Kyle West. His gym's a mess. Debts piling up, loans defaulting. Emily's name is on a $200,000 equipment loan. Call me." Michael's pulse quickened. He dialed Kate, who answered on the first ring. "Talk to me," he said. "Kyle's Harmon Fitness LLC is bleeding cash," Kate said, her voice clipped. "Overdrawn credit lines, unpaid rent, and that loan? Emily co-signed it 2 months ago, using your marital assets as collateral. Without your consent." Michael's grip tightened on his phone. "She tied our marriage to his sinking ship?" "Exactly," Kate said. "I'm digging deeper, but this guy's a fraud." His Instagram screams success. Fancy cars, packed classes, but it's all a front. He's leveraged to the hilt. Michael stared at the rain-streaked window. Emily hadn't just left him for Kyle. She'd gambled their shared wealth on his failing dream. He thought of his grandfather's watch, the one his dad had passed down, now missing from the storage unit. It wasn't the money that stung. It was the erasure of his past. He pulled up Kyle's Instagram. The guy was all flash. Tanned, muscular, grinning in front of a sleek gym with motivational quotes plastered on the walls. Photos of Emily popped up in his posts, her in yoga gear, laughing at some retreat. Michael's stomach churned. He clicked on a recent post. Kyle and Emily, arms around each other, captioned, "New beginnings, new energy." The post was dated a week ago, while Emily was supposedly in Miami with friends. Michael closed the app and called his lawyer, Sarah. "I need you to push the divorce filing," he said, "and add a fraud claim. Emily's been using our assets to back her new boyfriend's business." "Got it," Sarah said. "Send me everything Kate's found. If she signed loans without your knowledge, that's a slam dunk for financial misconduct." Michael hung up and emailed Sarah the loan documents Kate had pulled. His mind raced, piecing together Emily's plan. She'd been siphoning money for months, maybe years, thinking he wouldn't notice. But noticing was what he did best. He drove to his office, a quiet suite in downtown Seattle. His assistant, Lisa, looked up, surprised. "Thought you were taking time off, Michael." "Change of plans," he said, heading to his desk. He logged into his financial system and checked the joint accounts. Emily had tried accessing them again. 5 attempts in the last 12 hours, all blocked. A new alert popped up. She'd applied for a credit line using their Bellevue home as collateral. Denied. Michael leaned back, a grim smile forming. She was panicking. Good. His phone lit up with Emily's name. He let it go to voicemail. Her message was frantic. "Mike, What the hell? My cards aren't working, and the bank's asking questions. Call me back. He deleted it. Then another text came, this time from an unknown number. Back off, man. Emily deserves better. Don't make this worse. Michael stared at the text. Kyle West, stepping into the ring. He forwarded it to Kate. Trace this number, he said when she picked up. I want to know everything about this guy. Already on it, Kate said. I found something else. Kyle applied for a small business loan 4 months ago using gym equipment as collateral. Guess who co-signed? Emily, Michael said, his voice flat. Yup. And here's the kicker, the loan terms assumed joint liability with her spouse. They used your marriage to get better rates. Michael's blood ran cold. Emily hadn't just stolen from him, she'd leveraged his entire financial life to prop up Kyle's crumbling empire. He stood pacing his office. Keep digging, he told Kate. I want every dirty detail. As he hung up, he glanced at a framed photo on his desk, him and Emily at their wedding, smiling under a canopy of lights. It was the only photo of them left in his life. He'd ignored the signs for too long, but not anymore. Emily thought she'd outsmarted him. She was about to learn how wrong she was. Part 3, The Counterstrike. Michael Reed leaned against the window of his Seattle office, the city's gray skyline blurring in the morning rain. His laptop hummed with financial data, each line confirming what he'd suspected. Emily, his wife of 12 years, had entangled their marriage in a web of fraud to prop up Kyle West's failing fitness empire. The $150,000 she'd siphoned from their joint account was just the tip of the iceberg. With his sister Kate's help, Michael had uncovered a $200,000 loan Emily co-signed for Kyle's gym, Harmon Fitness LLC, using their marital assets as collateral without his consent. His blood boiled, but anger wouldn't win this fight. Precision would. He opened his custom financial system built for his forensic accounting practice, but now his weapon of choice. With a few clicks, he locked down every joint account and credit card tied to Emily. Alerts flooded his screen, her attempts to access the accounts had spiked overnight, each one blocked. He flagged the $150,000 transfer as fraud, pinging his banking contacts to fast-track the investigation. Then he emailed his lawyer, Sarah, attaching Kate's findings, loan documents, credit applications, and proof Emily had used their shared wealth to back Kyle's debts. File the divorce papers today, he wrote. Add financial misconduct and fraud. Sarah called within minutes. This is airtight, Michael, she said, her voice sharp with confidence. Emily's signatures on those loans using your assets without permission? That's textbook fraud. The bank will eat this up. Good, Michael said. I want her to feel the walls closing in. He hung up and turned to his phone. Kate had sent a new file, a deep dive into Kyle West's finances. Harmon Fitness was a house of cards, $300,000 in total debt, including unpaid rent, maxed out credit lines, and a leased Porsche Kyle couldn't afford. Emily's name was on half the paperwork, tying their marriage to his sinking ship. But one detail stood out, a small business loan from 4 months ago secured with gym equipment and co-signed by Emily listed Michael as a joint guarantor. She'd forged his signature. Michael's jaw clenched. Forgery wasn't just reckless, it was criminal. He forwarded the file to Sarah, adding, push for an emergency asset freeze. She's not touching another cent. He drove to a diner to meet Kate, who was already there, hunched over her laptop. Her eyes flicked up as he slid into the booth. You look like you're plotting a heist, she said, half smiling. More like dismantling one, Michael replied, ordering coffee. What else did you find? Kate turned her screen toward him. Kyle's been living a lie. His Instagram's all flash, private jets, designer gear, but his gym's bleeding cash. He's missed 3 rent payments and the bank's circling. That loan Emily co-signed? It's in default. They're coming for the equipment next week. Michael nodded, his mind racing. And the forged signature? Clear as day, Kate said. I cross-checked the loan docs with your digital signature from old contracts. It's not even close. She's sloppy, Mike. Sloppy or desperate, Michael thought. Emily had always been ambitious, but this was a new low, betting their future on a conman like Kyle. He remembered her at their wedding, radiant and promising forever. Now she was dismantling their life for a guy who couldn't pay his own bills. His phone buzzed. Emily again. Another voicemail. Mike, this is ridiculous. The bank froze everything. Call me so we can fix this. He deleted it without listening to the rest. Then another text from Kyle's number. You're screwing with the wrong people. Back off. Michael showed Kate the message. He's getting bold, he said. She smirked. Bold or stupid? I traced his number. He's been texting Emily from a burner phone, too. Looks like they're planning to move more money before the bank catches up. Let them try, Michael said. They're already too late. Back at his office, Michael reviewed the latest alerts. Emily had attempted to open a new credit line using their Bellevue home as collateral, denied thanks to his freeze. The bank had escalated the fraud investigation and Sarah confirmed they were reviewing the forged loan documents. If this holds, she said over the phone, Emily could face criminal charges. Forgery's no small thing. Michael didn't want her in jail, he just wanted her out of his life. But the threat of charges gave him leverage. He leaned back, staring at the wedding photo on his desk. Emily's smile, once his anchor, now felt like a mask. He'd ignored the signs for too long, her retreats, her new circle of fitness influencers, the way she'd stopped asking about his day. He'd built a life for them and she'd used it to fund her escape. Kate texted again, found something big. Kyle's been investigated before shady business deals in Portland. He ghosted an investor after defaulting on a loan. Emily's not his first mark. Michael's eyes narrowed. Kyle wasn't just a failing entrepreneur, he was a predator. Emily thought she'd found someone better, but she'd walked into a trap. For a moment, he felt a pang of pity. Then he remembered his grandfather's watch, the family photos she'd tossed aside. Pity faded. He called Sarah. Add this to the file, he said, forwarding Kate's latest report. Kyle's got a history. If Emily's tied to him, she's in deeper than she knows. Got it, Sarah said. I'm filing for an emergency hearing tomorrow. The court will lock down all marital assets until the divorce is settled. Emily won't be able to touch anything. Michael hung up and walked to the office window. The rain had stopped, leaving the city sharp and clear. He thought of his grandfather's advice, whispered years ago over a fishing trip, trust is earned, Mike. Protect what's yours. He'd failed to listen then, but not now. His phone lit up again, Emily calling for the 10th time. He let it ring, watching the screen until it went dark. She'd made her choice. Now he was making his. The game wasn't over, but Michael was done playing the victim. Emily and Kyle thought they'd outsmarted him. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Michael Reed stood in the lobby of his Seattle office, the hum of the city muted by glass walls. It was Monday, 3 days after Emily's text had upended his life, stealing $150,000 and leaving him for Kyle West, a fitness influencer with a crumbling empire. Michael had struck back, freezing their joint accounts and exposing Emily's fraud, co-signing a $200,000 loan for Kyle's gym, Harmon Fitness LLC, with forged signatures tying their marital assets to his debts. Now, as he prepared for the next move, his assistant, Lisa, buzzed the intercom. Michael, your wife is here. She's insistent. He sighed and walked to the lobby. Emily stood there, designer sunglasses perched on her head, yoga outfit perfectly curated. Her smile, the one that once charmed him, was forced, loud enough for the receptionist to notice. Mike, there's been a huge misunderstanding with the bank, she said, her voice carrying. All our accounts are frozen. We need to fix this. Michael kept his tone low, steady. No misunderstanding, Emily. You transferred $150,000 without my consent. The bank flagged it as fraud. Her smile faltered as darting to the onlookers. It was our account, she hissed. I'm your wife. My soon-to-be ex-wife, Michael corrected, who drained our savings and told me she's moving on with Kyle West. That's financial misconduct. Textbook. Emily's face paled. She stepped closer, voice dropping to a whisper. You can't do this. I've made commitments to Kyle, to a new place. I need those funds. I know all about your commitments, Michael said, unflinching. Like co-signing Kyle's loans with my assets. Forging my signature. Her eyes widened. You're investigating me? Protecting myself from fraud, he said. You'll hear from my lawyer. He turned, heading back to his office, her stunned silence trailing behind. Back at his desk, Michael checked his phone. Kate, his cybersecurity expert sister, had sent new findings. Kyle's gym was days from foreclosure, with banks demanding immediate repayment of the $200,000 loan Emily had backed. Another text followed. Kyle's burner phone just pinged. He's texting Emily, panicking about the bank. Want me to keep digging? Do it, Michael replied. He leaned back, piecing together the bigger picture. Emily thought she could outmaneuver him, but she'd underestimated his knack for spotting lies. Years of auditing financial crimes had honed his instincts. She was no match. His phone buzzed again. Kyle's number. You're ruining everything. Emily's freaking out. Let's talk, man to man. Michael stared at the text, a cold smile forming. Kyle wanted to negotiate. Fine. He drove to Harmon Fitness, a sleek gym in downtown Seattle with neon lights and motivational quotes plastered on the walls. Inside, young clients snapped selfies between half-hearted workouts. Kyle spotted him immediately, striding over with a practiced grin, hand extended. "You must be Michael," he said, all charm. "Emily mentioned you." "I bet she did," Michael said, ignoring the handshake. "We need to talk. Privately." Kyle's grin faded, but he led Michael to a glass-walled office, soundproof but visible to the gym. "What's this about?" Kyle asked, closing the door. Michael dropped a folder on the desk. "These are the loans you and Emily signed using my assets as collateral. Without my knowledge. Those deals are void now and the banks are coming for you." Kyle flipped through the papers, his tan paling. "These are legit business deals. Emily and I used my marriage to secure your loans," Michael cut in. "Banks approved them based on my assets. Assets you no longer have access to." Kyle shut the folder, voice hardening. "Emily said you're loaded. Money's not an issue for you." "Money's not the issue," Michael said. "Trust is. And one more thing, when Emily moved my stuff, she left out some keepsakes. Family photos, my grandfather's watch. Things money can't replace." Kyle met his gaze, silent for a moment. "I'll see what I can do," he said finally. Michael nodded and left, the gym's fake energy fading behind him. That evening, a courier dropped off a box at his hotel. Inside were the missing photos, his grandfather's watch, and a few old letters from his dad, no note. Kyle had delivered, but Michael wasn't here to thank him. He called Sarah, his lawyer. "Any update on the asset freeze?" "Granted this morning," she said. "All marital assets are locked until the divorce is settled. Emily tried accessing the accounts again 17 times today. She's desperate." "Good," Michael said. "What about the forgery?" "The bank's investigating," Sarah replied. "They're treating it as criminal fraud. Emily's lawyer reached out, demanding access to your financial records. I shut them down, but they're threatening to dig into your practice." Michael laughed softly. "Let them try. My books are clean." He hung up and checked his financial system. Emily had attempted another credit line, this time using their car as collateral, denied. The banks were closing in on Kyle's gym, with foreclosure notices piling up. Michael felt no joy, only focus. Emily and Kyle had tried to erase him from his own life. Now they'd face the consequences. His phone lit up, Emily again. He answered this time. "What did you do?" she demanded, voice shaking. "The bank's calling and Kyle's loans. They're taking the equipment tomorrow." "That's unfortunate," Michael said calmly. "You used our marriage to back his debts without my consent. That's illegal." "This is revenge, Mike," she snapped. "You're destroying Kyle to hurt me." "I'm protecting myself," he said. "You made your choices." "We can fix this," she said, her tone softening, the old charm creeping in. "Come home. Let's talk." Michael paused, remembering her smile at their wedding, the promises they'd made. "There's nothing to fix," he said. "My lawyer will handle it." He ended the call and blocked her number. That night, Michael sat in his hotel room, the city lights flickering outside. For the first time in years, he felt unburdened. Emily had underestimated him, and Kyle was about to learn the cost of overreaching. The trap wasn't his, it was theirs. Michael Reed sat in a sleek Seattle conference room, the air thick with tension. It was 3 weeks since Emily's text had shattered their 12-year marriage, revealing her betrayal and the theft of $150,000 to fund her lover Kyle West's failing gym, Harmon Fitness LLC. Michael had fought back, freezing their joint accounts, exposing Emily's forged signatures on a $200,000 loan and setting the banks on Kyle's trail. Now, at the divorce mediation, he faced Emily and her lawyer across a polished table, ready to close this chapter for good. Emily looked drained, her designer outfit and flawless makeup failing to mask the strain. Her lawyer, a nervous man in a cheap suit, spoke first. "My client is willing to be reasonable about asset division despite the aggressive tactics employed so far." Michael's lawyer, Sarah, smiled thinly, sliding a document across the table. "That's generous, but we've uncovered something interesting. The bank's fraud investigation found Emily forged Michael's signature on multiple loan documents, using marital assets as collateral without his consent." Emily's lawyer skimmed the file, his face paling. "We'll need time to review this." "Of course," Sarah said coolly. "But the bank's already referred the matter to the district attorney. This meeting is a courtesy before criminal charges are filed." Emily's eyes widened, locking onto Michael. "Criminal charges? Mike, you can't be serious." "I didn't file them," Michael said, his voice steady. "The bank did. That's what happens when you commit fraud." Her lawyer whispered urgently in her ear, but Emily shook her head, voice trembling. "This is too far." Sarah leaned forward. "If Ms. Reed signs the settlement we've proposed today, Michael is willing to provide a statement to the bank that could mitigate criminal consequences. He won't pursue charges for theft or unauthorized transfers." Michael watched Emily, her carefully curated world crumbling. She'd expected him to fold, to beg or lash out. She hadn't anticipated consequences. "The settlement's fair," he said quietly. "You keep your design studio, it's always been profitable. You keep your car and personal belongings. No alimony, and you take on the debts you signed for." "And Kyle?" Emily asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Mr. West's financial troubles are his own," Sarah said. "Without Michael's assets backing those loans, the bank's already moving to foreclose on his gym." Emily's shoulders slumped. She signed the papers without another word. As they left the conference room, she grabbed Michael's arm. "I never thought you'd fight like this," she said. "You always just agreed." "That was my choice," Michael replied. "Just like this was yours." He walked away, not looking back. A month later, Michael stood on the porch of his new home in Portland, a modest craftsman needing a little work. The quiet neighborhood felt real, unlike the polished Bellevue estate Emily had insisted on. He traded the hotel for this fixer-upper, a project to keep his hands and mind busy. His sister, Kate, had helped him move in, joking about his newfound carpentry skills. "Any word from Emily?" Kate asked one Saturday, hammering a kitchen cabinet into place. "Nothing," Michael said, measuring a shelf. "She's in Colorado now, posting mountain views and new beginnings on Instagram. Kyle's in LA, trying to rebuild his brand after the bank took his gym." Kate snorted. "You could have crushed her, you know. The fraud alone would have buried her." "What's the point?" Michael said, shrugging. "She's not my problem anymore." They worked in silence, the rhythm of sawing and sanding oddly soothing. Later, over beers on the porch, Michael broke the quiet. "I'm taking a trip. Alaska. Fishing like Grandpa used to do." Kate grinned. "He'd like that. You haven't been up there since he passed." That night, Michael sat alone, a glass of bourbon in hand. The neighborhood was still, save for the occasional bark of a dog or a kid's laugh. He thought about the last 12 years, how he'd let Emily define his worth, ignoring the signs of her drift. The late-night calls, the forgotten birthdays, the way she'd used his money to chase her dreams. He'd seen it all but stayed silent, hoping love would fix it. When the moment came, he was ready, not because he wanted revenge, but because he'd always known this day might come. The next morning, Michael called his office. "I'm taking 2 weeks off," he told Lisa. "Hold down the fort." He packed his pickup with fishing gear, locked the house, and hit the road north. No itinerary, no expectations, just the open highway and a sky full of stars. For the first time in years, he felt no weight, no ledger of grudges to balance. Emily and Kyle had faced their consequences, not through vengeance but through the cold machinery of justice. Michael wasn't a victor or a victim. He was free. As the Seattle skyline faded in his rearview mirror, he turned up the radio, a classic rock song filling the cab. Alaska waited, and so did a new chapter, one he'd write on his own terms.